Welcome to the Messenger of Truth channel. God bless you and protect your life. Subscribe, follow our work and share the truth with others. Attos 14. And it came to pass in Iconium, that they entered together into the synagogue of the Jews, and so spoke that a great multitude both of Jews and of Greeks believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles against the brethren. So they stayed there a long time, speaking boldly about the Lord, who bore witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by their hands. And the people of the city were divided, some were for the Jews, and some for the apostles. And when a commotion arose both from the Jews and from the Gentiles with their rulers, to abuse and stone them. When they heard of it, they fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and to the surrounding countryside. And there they preached the gospel. And there sat at Lystra a certain footsore man, lame from his birth, who had never walked. This man heard Paul speaking, and when he fastened his eyes on him and saw that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand up straight on your feet." And he leaped up and walked. And when the multitudes saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voice, saying in the Lycaonian language, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." And they called Barnabas Jupiter, and Paul Mercury, because he was the one who spoke. And the priest of Jupiter, whose temple was in front of the city, brought oxen and garlands to the entrance of the gate, and would have sacrificed to them with the multitude. But when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard this, they tore their clothes and ran out into the crowd, crying out, and saying, "Men, why are you doing these things? We also are men like yourselves, subject to the same passions, and we declare to you that you must turn from these vanities to the living God, who made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is in them, who in times past let all people walk in their own ways. Yet he did not leave himself without witness, but benefited you from heaven, giving you rains and fruitful seasons, filling your hearts with food and gladness." Saying this, they hardly stopped the crowds from sacrificing to them. But some Jews from Antioch and Iconium came, and having persuaded the multitude, they stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing that he was dead. But as the disciples stood around him, he rose and entered the city. The next day he and Barnabas went out to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to that city and made many disciples, they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples, exhorting them to continue in the faith, because we must through many tribulations enter the kingdom of God. And when they had appointed elders for them by common consent in each church, and prayed with fasting, they commended them to the Lord in whom they had believed. Passing through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia. And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Attalia. And from there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been commended to the grace of God for the work which they had already accomplished. And when they arrived and gathered the church together, they reported how great things God had done for them, and how he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. And they stayed there not a short time with the disciples.